I've seen quite a lot of people struggle with the new Follie game mode, and saying some uh, things about it. But I honestly quite enjoy it, and I think it's kind of like a breath of fresh air when it comes to Warframe game modes. I think the first and most important thing you need to understand is that it's very different from most of the content that we've gotten used to at this point. Just bringing like a big explosive weapon and killing everything is not really helpful and not really the point of the mission. In fact, this is like a crowd control friendly mission where it's honestly a lot more helpful to just crowd control enemies and walk past them than like keep killing them. This is in large part because there is straight up not any overguarded enemies at all in the entire mission. Fully Hunt is like based on like planning and mechanics and precise movement, which a lot of other game modes aren't, where you just kind of use brute force to get your way through instead of having to actually contend with mechanics. This means that the game mode is kind of difficult in a way that most other content isn't, kind of in the way that like Apex bosses are, where you are forced to contend with the mechanics and play around them instead of, again, brute forcing your way through. There are still a couple of ways you can make it easier for yourself. As I mentioned earlier, it is a very like crowd control friendly mission, so picking like a frame with a bunch of crowd control is pretty nice, like Bobbin, Limbo, Mag, Gyre, Noko, Frost, stuff like that. So you can like quickly put down some crowd control and just kind of ignore enemies. Weapons don't really matter that much, because like killing enemies doesn't matter that much. I think like the Praetos is nice for like parkour speed. I also have melee Kareen on this, since like the freeze is again crowd control. It's really nice to have. Um, but and For like companions, Shade or the Invisibility Kupro, also really nice, since it also just kind of lets you ignore enemies sometimes. But like most of the mission, you'll be in Operator. And here, a lot of the like waybounds become really useful. Stuff like Enduring Tides, Mind Step, uh, Void Siphon, Void Flow, are all make a really big difference. Not required, but they help quite a lot. I like running Vasserin for the regeneration and the Guardian Chill to give invulnerability. But Unairu is also really good because Poise gives slow stagger and knockdown immunity. But again, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go with the generic for this one because, yeah. Though, if you have a Tactilist artifact, you can get a bunch of pretty useful mods, like knockdown immunity, sprint speed, jump height, void mode efficiency, and void sling efficiency. All really nice. There are some arcanes like Emergence Renewed for energy generation. There is Emergence Savior for invulnerability when you die, and there is Cadence for sling strength, or for sprint speed on sling, which is also just great. Amp arcanes don't really matter, and your amp also doesn't really matter, since like damaging enemies isn't really a big deal. Um, though the things that you want to be destroying don't have health; they have kind of an amount of hits before they break. So like high fire rate or multi shot is nice, but still just not really required. I'm actually just going to take these off for this example. Just going to switch to Syneric instead, so that I don't have a Tactilist artifact or anything going on. And yeah. Oh yeah, I do have some mods on Caliban just to make him tankier and generate more energy. This doesn't really matter, although I do think like tankiness is nice, and you could also just play a tankier frame. To be fair, so I spawn here on like the lower floor. There are 4 different rooms. Some of them might be closed. That's just kind of random. Canvas C will always be on the lower floor somewhere. So I'm guessing it's going to be in here. I somehow missed it. Whatever. I'm just going to grab this. So as soon as I grab this, enemies will start spawning. Foley herself only spawns when I deliver this first one. Yep, it's up there. So, as soon as I do this, the mission will start for real. However, it will also spawn these Atramentum balloons, which drop the pity currency. So I recommend just kind of doing the first one, and then... Actually, we're just going to finish C, so it's done. And again, I'm just kind of rolling past all the enemies. And here, C is finished. So now I'm just going to go through and look for the balloons. They will only like pop up on the minimap. They will only pop up on the minimap after you enter a room. So you kind of have to go into every single room to check. Okay. Up here, we have A and B. A will always be in this like central room somewhere, so it's down there. While B will always be in one of the outer rooms somewhere. So there are balloons here. Oh yeah, face grabbers, just roll, you get them off. So balloon there. No balloons, damn, lucky.
That's right.
Also, it's good to make like mental note of where the ink blots are. And balloon.
I know what you've done. The painting makes it clear. I know you.
And like, Follie doesn't matter, I can just kind of roll past her. She's really not a threat. And there's B. So, then I want to find some ink blots. There's one out here. And I prefer doing B first, since it's in a pretty cramped area most of the time, while A is kind of out in the open. So I'm just going to bring this to B. Gigantism. So everything's big now. Big whoop. Oh. Some balloons that I missed. And here's just the same. Oh, ink blot. Cool. Gonna grab that. Gonna bring that to B.
The paint is not supposed to go on you.
Don't even need void mode, I can just run past the enemies.
Yes, I can see now.
Cool.
I can see you. Keep painting. We need to go deeper.
Okay. Killing enemies has a chance to spawn this kind of spark that leads to the nearest ink plot, which is fun. Okay, what's that for? Just gonna run through this. I honestly don't care. And a these facsimiles spawn. These are like stratiers. They break super easily. Oh, and the last one is up here. Just gonna grab that.
Of all the thoughtless
Put that to A.
things you could have done.
And that's it. That's all of them. And it's basically that simple. And that's a little under 5 minutes, and we got round 74 Atramentum. Nice. And of course, that could have been a lot easier if I had like a crowd control frame, or a textilist artifact, or arcanes, or anything like that. So I kind of wanted to end up this video by just like saying that obviously, yes, it's not that this mission is flawless, and I especially think that the actual grind for it seems kind of absurd. Hopefully that gets changed. But I do think that a lot of people are overreacting really hard simply because it seems like they're trying to apply the exact same playstyle to this game mode as in like an exterminate or like a survival, and that just doesn't work. You aren't supposed to be blowing up rooms and killing enemies. That is not what this game mode is about. And yes, that means that your normal strategies and all your weapons aren't going to be as effective anymore. It's a very different game mode that tries to make you play in a very different way. And a lot of people are not used to that, which, to be fair, yes, DE has released a certain type of content for so long that they've kind of cultivated an expectation of what Warframe is and how you should approach it. So, them coming up with a completely different game mode that asks you to engage with it in a completely different way is going to have some backlash. That's just kind of a given. I completely understand that this game mode just might not be for some people. I know a lot of people just play Warframe as a power fantasy, about blowing things up and destroying everything. And I certainly enjoy that part of the game. But it's kind of disheartening that a lot of people just refuse to engage with the game in any other way. Foley's Hunt is very different from basically any other content in the game, but that doesn't mean that it's terrible. That just means that it's different, and you have to engage with it in a different way. And if you do, you might actually come to enjoy it quite a bit. Alright, so while I was finishing up the video, they released some changes that are coming out. These are generally just pretty solid quality of life changes, though they do also make the mission significantly easier, and I kind of don't love the change to being able to basically kill Foley herself, making the mission a lot more damage focused again, which kind of sucks. But again, these are just kind of improvements. It's probably still for the best.